The Pulse of Spokane is a broad show that showcases many different things in our community, sponsored by Local 29 Firefighters Union, Well Dressed Walrus, and Homes for You.
Hi there, and welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. This is Emma Ulring, and I'll be your host for today. I am lucky enough to be chatting with Bruce Teague from Eastern Washington University, Matt Leitholt, who is a marketing extraordinaire and producer, and then we have Jonathan Wold from Woocommerce. We'll be right back here after the weather. Thanks.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Spokane Talks Weather Forecast. My name is Connor Kotzman, your official weather forecaster. Today, Spokane's weather looks to be mostly sunny with a high of 51, while this week looks to also be sunny, while tonight will be mostly clear with a low of 26. Coeur d'Alene's weather looks to be mostly sunny with a high of 51 and a low of 25. Cheney's weather looks to be mostly sunny with a high of 50 and a low of 24.
We believe every person is created in the image of God, with immeasurable beauty and worth, that people should not be defined by their present condition or past mistakes. We are all broken. We need each other. Healing for our brokenness begins with connection, with understanding how much we are loved by a good God. And with healing comes change, the potential for joy and meaning. No one was created for mere survival on the streets, for an existence blurred by mind-numbing substances. Each person is created with a purpose, a unique gift no one else can offer the world. Our job is to help them rediscover it. Real people, real change. Union Gospel Mission.
Welcome to a new kind of talk show, Spokane Talks, where you find news, views, and conversations that include respect for opinions, facts, and diversity.
Spokane Talks, Saturdays at 8 a.m. on Fox 28.
The economy is getting stronger. Banks are lending again, and interest rates are at historic lows. Now is a great time to buy your dream home. The caring and knowledgeable professionals at Homes for You have been helping people just like you for over 20 years. They take the time to listen to what you want and will help you find just the right home in Washington or Idaho. Real estate is what we do at Homes for You, 928-5782, or visit online at homes4uspokane.com.
Hi, this is Kurt Stockwell with Well Dressed Walrus. We are a local website design and development company here in Spokane. What we do is build beautiful, usable websites for local businesses. A website needs to be beautiful, it needs to be usable for your users, your customers, and yourself. Contact us anytime. We'd love to talk with you about your online marketing.
Hi there, welcome back. Jonathan, it's so nice to have you here.
It's good to be here.
So, your introduction, you're from Woocommerce, you work there now,
Yes.
Correct? But you've had kind of a shift. You were an entrepreneur for a long time. Why don't you kind of talk about what has led you to where you are now and some of your background?
Yeah, I don't think the entrepreneur thing really goes away.
Yeah.
But it's been in there since I was a kid. At a young age, we didn't have a lot of financial capability in our family, and my mother encouraged us at a young age to, hey, if you want something, go figure out a way to get it. And so we made food and sold it door to door and all sorts of things, and that stuck with me.
Was that you and your brother?
Yes.
Because you mentioned you guys work together.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Always experimenting with different things, and
Nice.
eventually that led into the web.
Okay.
And at a young age, I realized that, wow, we can create things on the web, and just had a lot of fun doing that, and ultimately discovered, well, people are happy to pay you to do that.
Yeah,
And
this could be a living.
Yes.
And if you like doing it, that's even more exciting. So you have a great connection with WordPress.
Yes.
WooCommerce is part of WordPress, correct?
WooCommerce is a plugin for
Okay.
WordPress.
Okay.
So within that same sort of
So why don't you explain kind of what WordPress is, how the logistics of all that work?
So WordPress, the way that I like to think of it, I think of it as an operating system for creating on the web. And more than a third of the web today runs on WordPress.
Wow.
That includes your own sites.
Yeah, that's exciting.
And it's an open source. It's free to use.
Okay.
And a lot of people will build things on top of it. It's pretty incredible. I think what I love about it is that it empowers people to create things on the web that are theirs.
It's user-friendly
very,
enough to
very
do
user-friendly.
that.
And at the end of the day, like Facebook and things like it are great, but the platform is not, it's their platform.
Yep.
Whereas with WordPress and open source, if you build it, it's yours
Feels
afterwards.
like your own, yeah.
Yes.
So what allows WordPress to do that? Like, is there certain formatting that, like we mentioned, is super, user-friendly? Like, what kind of does it, how does
The
it
big
work?
thing about WordPress from the beginning has been its focus on empowering non-technical people to create. It's very focused. It's been more than 16 years now since it started. And from the beginning, it was focused on empowering like writers. It started out with blogs as a main focus, and now it's gone all the way to commerce.
Because I'm a media student at Gonzaga, and when I think about having to create my own website, that seems really daunting to me. And regardless of how much knowledge you may have in that just seems like a big feat to have to tackle. But with this, it's obviously sounding like anyone could do it.
So today, and there are great tools out there like Wix and Squarespace, and you'll see ads for them all the time. What I love about them is that they do focus on making it easier. The difference, though, is at the end of the day, those are not open source platforms. If they change the rules or you stop paying your bill or whatever the case may be, they can shut you off. WordPress, frankly, today is sometimes not as easy to use as some of those because they have huge amounts of money going into them. WordPress is built by volunteers.
That's amazing.
And but at its heart is always that focus on empowering the creativity of non-technical folks.
And you were talking to me earlier, you are doing some projects locally that's empowering our people here. So why don't you talk about that? What are those looking like?
There are a number of WordPress meetups. I live in Liberty Lake now, but Coeur d'Alene is where I was from originally. And we have a WordPress meetup that's been running in Coeur d'Alene for a few years now. There's a WordPress meetup in Spokane, and we're starting some more. And they're free. Anyone can join. And the idea is that for people who want to build on the web, you can show up, ask questions.
Cool. Is it kind of a workshop idea, like where they're doing hands-on stuff, or is it more just knowledge?
Right now, it's a lot of them tend to be open, like office hours focused. You just come in with whatever you've got. I went to one last week, and just answering questions and teaching people how to do basic things in WordPress.
And that's amazing to be able to see who's using it,
and
I
love that.
The vast, occupations that these people have and backgrounds. That's really exciting, I bet, to witness.
It still blows my mind. I've seen so much, and yet I'm always surprised by that's what I love about the creativity aspect. You can do whatever you want to do.
And I mean, if you've had that creative spark in you since you were little, that continues on. And speaking of that, what are some projects that you hope to be doing either in your own personal work or with kind of Woocommerce stuff? What are you hoping to start working on?
The thing I'm working on with Woocommerce, so we have meetups that are happening around the world. The mission of Woocommerce is to democratize commerce.
Okay.
We want to make it as accessible as possible.
Got it.
And the way that I think you do that is by inspiring entrepreneurs that, hey, you can also do things on the web.
Amazing.
And then empower them. And I think the meetups program, which is a lot of what I'm spending my time on, is a good way to do that, to have something local. And I work with communities around the world to help sort of get those started in their
local
local
So are you traveling?
space.
Are you going to those places? Or
Yes.
is it all digital?
I travel. I work remotely. I work in my home most of the time, but
Okay.
then I'll travel occasionally. And
Nice.
That's a nice perk of the job.
Yeah. What is some advice that you give to those young entrepreneurs? What do you wish that someone would have told you when you were starting off on this whole process?
It's really hard work.
Yeah.
If you focus, though, on finding and creating value for others, that's ultimately, it is its own reward, and it tends to be the most closely tied. There's a clear economic tie to it as well. If I focus on creating value, sometimes short term I can miss an opportunity, but long term people recognize that.
Yeah.
They want to do business with you. They refer you to others. So just that focus on figuring out where in your local market you can create value for someone.
And I always feel like if you're passionate about what you're doing, people can sense that.
They can.
And then they want to move forward and start their own journey of whatever that looks like. And do you think that this is your passion? Do you think the web is what all along you've known that you want to be doing?
I didn't know
you
that.
Didn't know.
But along the way, for me personally, I've always been focused on how can I learn and grow, what's stretching me, how can I make sure that I'm doing my best. And I've personally found that where I end up doesn't matter nearly so much as that journey of let's do our best, let's identify the habits and routines that we want to stick with along the way. And as long as I focus on providing value, which is not easy, sometimes it's like, this is kind of tiring, I want to do something else.
Oh, it takes total work.
But
you have to focus.
That commitment to it, it's A, its own reward, and B, I found that it opens up so many opportunities.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And obviously you mentioned you work remotely. What does your team look like? So are you working with others, obviously through WordPress, but are you ever in personal
So I have a team
them,
that I'm a part of. We tend to meet up a couple of times a year. We did Barcelona a couple months ago, and later this year we'll do somewhere in Europe. And then I have volunteers around the world that I work with. And I'll often try to go to their locales and get to meet them there.
How do you find that you're able to connect and lead with these people from all around the world? Because I feel like that's a very rare situation to be in. I think a lot of us get used to our routine and, just our similar people that we're working with all the time, but you seem to be
If I had
changing.
to sum it up to one thing, curiosity is key. I'm genuinely curious, and I genuinely enjoy getting to know folks and going into an area that I don't know the language yet and getting to familiarize myself with local customs and what matters to this community. So I don't have to ever fake that. And I think just being genuinely curious has enabled me to connect with folks in a lot of different places.
Yeah. Well, I can tell that you love what you're doing and continue being curious, because it seems like you have a lot in store. What is a good way for people to hear about what you're up to and your projects and all that?
My personal website's a good place to go. And
Great.
I'm respectably active on Twitter and have some podcasts I experiment with. But you can find all that on my site.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time
Thank you.
today, Jonathan. We'll be right back here after this.
Well, this is Looms Day in Spokane. We got about 40 firefighters and their friends and family handing out 40,000 cups of water as the day goes by.
It's a very good opportunity to see the public and support them and help them out and cheer them on during Bloomsday.
It's one of the best things about Spokane is that we have these major events and the whole community comes together not just to participate, but to volunteer and show that they really care about our city and making our city look great.
This type of an event really is emblematic of Spokane because so many people get involved. We have 50,000 people probably running this race. Always has been a very huge event.
Right now we're at the corner of Broadway and Nettleton. It's the last water station before the finish, so people are pretty much dehydrated by the time they get to us. They really need our water.
The water stations are a vital part, especially on warm days like today. It's real important that we have the volunteers to help with that. Without the volunteers, Bloomsday wouldn't exist.
All up and down the course, there are people that are involved in this celebration. It really is a celebration of what Spokane's all about.
I'm Nikki Butler, and I'm a regional manager for STCU. My lunch buddy is Nicole.
I'm Brandy Schloss. I'm a regional manager at STCU. My lunch buddy is Angelina. She's grown up with me. I've grown up with her. To see her graduate will be a lot of fun.
Brandy and I have been lunch buddies since the girls were in second grade. It's great that STCU provides me with the opportunity to be part of Reach for the Future. We are committed to the children. We're committed to our community. I'm Nikki.
I'm Brandy.
And STCU is here for good.
This is River Ridge Frame Shop, called Frame It Today, where we can take your art, customize it, and get it ready to hang on the wall. Here at River Ridge Hardware, 2803 West Garland.
Welcome to a new kind of talk show, Spokane Talks, where you find news, views, and conversations that include respect for opinions, facts, and diversity.
Spokane Talks, Saturdays at 8 a.m. on Fox 28.
Welcome back to the Pulse of Spokane. Hello, Bruce Teague. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So you are the Foundation Distinguished Professor of Entrepreneurship at Eastern Washington University.
Yeah, I spit that out all the time.
Yeah,
It works really
that's
well.
a really long title you got. So maybe explain what that means, or what programs are you part of? Because you're part of a lot.
So that part means that I am responsible for the entrepreneurship curriculum side of. So we developed entrepreneurship just over 3 years ago. And so that's the hat I wear when I'm overseeing the degree programs that we're building. So we're building this out across the campus so that entrepreneurship is for everybody who comes to Eastern Washington.
Amazing.
So it's not one just narrow degree.
Okay. So how do you do that? How are you interpreting it to other, degrees and other majors across campus? What does that look like?
Okay, it's interesting that you ask that, because that actually was fundamental to how we won the award recently, is that we've created what we call a platform design, where we have a set of core courses that are built around skills and competencies that entrepreneurs need to have in order to succeed with their businesses.
Kind of the foundation of all of it.
Exactly. And then what we do is we connect to other programs on an interdisciplinary basis. So for instance, the one that we launched this year, in addition to our traditional entrepreneurship program, was music and technology entrepreneurship, which is a really popular up-and-coming degree program.
That's really cool, yeah.
And so what we did, so those students, they have entrepreneurial ideas.
Yes.
But they need that music and technology foundation too. So what we did was we got together, in this case, Professor Jonathan Middleton and I sat down. And we took all of the courses from his side and all of the courses from my side, and we said, okay, if somebody's going to be a music and technology entrepreneur, how do we combine these to create a degree that's going to help them accomplish that?
Wow.
And so that core foundation becomes the attachment point where everybody is getting the entrepreneurship training, but they still get their specialization too. So we have additional degrees that are working towards approval this year.
Wow. So you obviously are working with a lot of professors, a lot of different teams. How do you keep it straight? How are you able to lead in so many different areas on campus? Because I would find that to be difficult, to keep everything in order. And since it's a young program, I mean, only 3 years, how are you continuing to move on with all these different people involved?
Well, and it goes way beyond the campus. It goes across the Northwest, across the United States, and around the world, because we've got things going on. For instance, in April, I'll be over in Amsterdam putting on a program.
Wow.
And so I don't know.
You don't have an answer.
My assistant, Gabby, helps try to keep my head in one place. But I started a company a long time ago, and this is very similar to that, in that as an entrepreneur, you're doing a lot of things. And so a lot of times it is scramble mode.
Totally.
And
it is a grind. You are constantly going.
And I am constantly hoping I'm not going to drop something really important.
No, you obviously are doing something right. Why don't you talk about what you're doing locally first, outside of Eastern, and how those programs are connecting to, Spokane and Cheney and those other cities around here?
So for us to be successful, first we have to create an opportunity for students on the campus.
Yes.
But we need to be part of making a difference in this entrepreneurial ecosystem, this broad region. And what's happening in Spokane is so exciting right now.
It is.
And not just at our campus, but with Gonzaga and Washington State University and NIC and with the Angel Alliance and Ignite and all of these different facets. And so a big part of it is bridging that connection to the community so that we're a partner in that process and creating opportunities for students to become entrepreneurs. But our focus is on developing skills and competencies that allow our students to succeed in one of 3 ways. Either they can launch the business that they have in mind, make that difference in the world that matters to them. Or number 2, because a lot of students won't launch a business straight out of school, they'll launch one later. There are a group of companies called, by the government, Phase 2 companies. Phase 2 companies make up approximately 14.7% of companies in Washington State, for instance, but they represent 37.6% of new job creation. Those are growth companies. Those are the companies that are raising capital and creating the new jobs and the new opportunities. Our students have the skill sets, the skills and competencies to go in and make a difference in those companies and to help them continue growing. And then the third is those same skills and competencies can be used in traditional employers, but they can differentiate themselves because they can walk into those companies and instead of just filling a spot, they can come in and they can make a difference. They can lead change.
Wow. How are you able to teach those, foundational lessons and core values they must have in order to do either of those three things? Is it within the classroom? Do you think it's kind of the culture of Eastern Washington and this total entrepreneurship mindset? Where do you think those foundational things come from?
Well, I think that comes from a couple of things. First, we build around skills and competencies, practicing skills and competencies.
Mm-hmm.
So we've never designed a course by grabbing a textbook and saying, here's the class. Second, it's learning through doing. So experiential training. So and I call it theoretically guided experiential training in the sense that we still want to have good reasoning for why are we asking you to practice this, like customer discovery interviewing, for instance. But then you need to go do it. You need to practice it. And so every faculty member on our campus who is engaged with entrepreneurship programming, they've been sent to receive top world-class training in how you develop experiential curriculum.
Well, because they'd have to if they're the ones, leading the way. You want someone good to look to.
Exactly.
As a mentor, yeah.
Yeah, and so we're able to do that. And then as soon as you start designing around skills and competencies, it doesn't make any difference whether you're learning them in the class itself or outside. And so we build our co-curricular experiences for our students, which includes our $40,000 Startup Challenge, our Technology Commercialization Academy, and all of those different events. We dovetail them so that the students are practicing the same skills and competencies.
Yeah, and you mentioned you're involved in both co-curricular activities and curricular activities because, like you mentioned, you're creating those degrees in the music and technology, entrepreneurship, you're doing stuff like that. But then, if you're going to Amsterdam, you're doing stuff outside the classroom too. Why don't you talk about some more of the co-curricular that you specifically are doing? What will Amsterdam look like? Why do you go and do those?
So Amsterdam is a very different thing. Amsterdam is part of a research project that I work on around there. So I, along with 3 other colleagues, co-founded a group called Entrepreneurship as Practice, where we've been building a scholarly community around the world to actually study what entrepreneurs do, the practices of entrepreneurs, because within the broader literature, there isn't much research on what entrepreneurs really do.
Because it's all very different, too. That's hard to base it around one thing, I would think.
Well, there are methods and approaches for getting to that, but the history of entrepreneurship as a field of study largely came from economics first, and so economic models of study. And so we've built a scholarly community. We bring in doctoral students. We run a conference every year, so it'll be a conference that I'm running in Amsterdam. Each year it's moved around Europe, but we bring in doctoral students each year, and we run a doctoral seminar in conjunction with that conference. And so we help scholars share information about how they're studying what entrepreneurs do, but we also train young rising scholars on how they can study what entrepreneurs do.
You are so involved. This is amazing. What do you hope your program could look like in a few years? How do you want it to grow? What's the goal?
Well, obviously the big accomplishment recently was being named the top emerging program internationally.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. And that was a big goal for starting out. Now, the goal is to continue building opportunities across the campus so that any student that enters Eastern Washington University can become an entrepreneur without losing those core skill sets that they need to be that kind of an entrepreneur. So for instance, I would love to see entrepreneurship take off.
Cool. That's a great mashup. I love
We're working with STEM, and we're building. So the idea is that every student has access to this kind of support, both curricularly and co-curricularly.
Wow.
And the goal is to stabilize that into such a strong foundation that we can then go on to the follow-on award, which is top program.
Wow, and just keep building up and up and up. What is a good way for, if a student was interested in your program, how could they find you guys? How could we hear about you?
Well, we've got our website,
Okay.
And they can always click there, but the best way to reach out is either to contact me directly via email.
Okay. What is that email? If people are
that would be
listening?
B as in boy, my
Okay.
last name Teague, Teague, @eduu.edu.
Okay.
Or we have the center email address, which is probably even a better contact, which is ENTP-center@eduu.edu. And any of those three will reach out to us, and we love hearing from students. High school students in our community are doing amazing things. Meade just had 25 teams enter the Northwest Entrepreneur Competition.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
We want those students to know about the opportunities to come and continue.
Further that career,
Absolutely.
Well, you are doing amazing work, and I can tell that you are fully passionate about this, so congratulations. It was nice having you here today.
Thank you.
We'll be right back here after this.
Hi, this is Tim Lane with State Farm with your quick winter tip. One of the most common questions I get is about trees and who's responsible for a fallen tree or branches. The answer comes down to negligence. If your neighbor's tree falls and damages your home, vehicle, or personal property due to a weather-related incident, then your insurance company would cover that as a non-fault loss. If you can prove negligence against your neighbor, city, or county, then they are legally responsible for your damages. If you have any coverage questions or would like a second opinion on your insurance, call my team and I at Tim Lane State Farm at 509-926-5135.
Welcome to a new kind of talk show, Spokane Talks, where you find news, views, and conversations that include respect for opinions, facts, and diversity.
Spokane Talks, Saturdays at 8 a.m. on Fox 28.
Hi, this is Kurt Stockwell with Well Dressed Walrus. We are a local website design and development company here in Spokane. What we do is build beautiful, usable websites for local businesses. A website needs to be beautiful, it needs to be usable for your users, your customers, and yourself. Contact us anytime. We'd love to talk with you about your online marketing.
I had no idea how to be an adult, let alone a mom. I grew up in over 20 foster homes, so I partied to escape. I wanted to change, but I had no idea what to do. UGM showed me that healing begins with the heart, with understanding how much we are loved by a good God. My kids and I started over with a whole new foundation. Real people, real change. Union Gospel Mission.
Welcome back to the Pulse of Spokane. Hello, Matt Leitholt. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
So you are a marketing strategist and media producer.
That's correct.
But that's a little broad. So why don't you tell us exactly what are you up to right now? What are some of your projects?
So I love to help small businesses reach their target markets and kind of communicate their message.
Okay.
I like to help the smaller businesses because I feel like they really need that boost getting started, and they don't have a huge budget, but they really want to make an impact.
So are you doing small businesses locally here, or are you doing around the world, or what is your...
Yeah, so in the U.S., primarily it's been focused in the Northwest here.
Okay.
But I help them develop their strategies and then also do the media production for that and their websites. So kind of like a full-service marketing agency.
Okay.
And I've been doing photography for 14 years. It's taken me all over the world, and I've had a really great experience doing that.
Why don't you talk about photography a little more? I can tell that you love that. So what led you there? Did you just kind of start picking it up on your own?
Yeah.
Because obviously you are very talented.
Yeah, so I'll start with Black Friday sales. My dad and I was like probably 12 years old, and we would go to Best Buy, and he would go to Walmart, and we'd have walkie-talkies.
That's hilarious.
And that led to picking up a digital camera, and I just fell in love with taking pictures, and got to high school, used their cameras, and taught myself. I spent all of Christmas break binge watching these training videos one Christmas when I was like 14, and then I started doing my own commercial work and kind of grew.
Yeah, you are an entrepreneur of the camera in a sense. So how do you use your photos to market for those local businesses? Because I'm sure you're using some of your own work in that way.
Yeah. So I love to do the media production. My focus is on lighting primarily. So I use like really impactful lighting. It kind of looks like a movie set when I get done, typically when I'm doing like my passion work.
Yeah. What's your passion work? What do you include in that?
It's all kind of like a darker look, and it's kind of a dramatic look is what I really enjoy.
Okay.
And then, but obviously it depends on the client and depends on the situation. Like sometimes that's not appropriate for the situation. But when clients are like, hey, I want you to do this, I'm like, yes, that sounds awesome.
Right up my alley.
Yeah. So really impactful, kind of eye-catching when they're scrolled on social media.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, so social media is a big pinpoint for you, I'm sure, and
For
then
sure.
to do stuff on websites as well.
Yeah, I also do web development, so I can help businesses either revamp their current website or make it more SEO friendly, or I can design them a whole entire new one.
Nice. What are some businesses that you're currently doing? Are you do like vast? I mean, I'm sure they're all different backgrounds. They're not all media-based.
Healthcare is a big one for me, and photography is another one I'm working on, and just trying to help a variety of customers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Why don't you mention some of the traveling you've been up to? Because I hear
Yeah.
you've been busy. You said 4 months you were away.
Yeah,
total.
so I left last October. I quit my day job. I was a marketing director of a local healthcare clinic.
Okay.
And I loved the team there, but I just kind of had that travel bug, and I got a really great opportunity to head over to Asia.
Wow.
So I spent 6 weeks in Thailand. I went to Bali for another 6 weeks, lived there on the island.
How was all of that? Why don't you give us some
It was amazing.
detail?
The people are wonderful there.
Wow.
The food's really good. It's kind of interesting to see like the difference in how we live, and like the sanitation's a big issue there.
Mhm.
And so like in Bali, like you have the side that we post on Instagram with like the beaches and
the gorgeous
jungle.
Yep.
But then behind them, you probably have a whole bunch of trash on the beach, and then like people like, burning trash on the sidewalk and
It's very
plastic,
different than
and
what's seen.
so like it really has a lot of variety to it. But I kind of liked that experience for the culturalness of it,
Mhm.
and
Did you get some good photos?
yeah, I did. It was awesome. Like I had a really good time there. I learned how to dive, got
Oh,
certified,
wow.
like
Oh
swam
my
in schools of
gosh.
fish that were like 5,000 fish swimming around me.
That's
In
amazing.
PP, and like saw like the giant limestone mountains coming out of the water, and I swam through there and swam with
Wow.
sharks. And
That's idyllic right there.
Yeah,
and
it
then
was cool.
you headed to Mexico from there. Is that correct? Did you have a
originally that was the
stop?
plan, but then coronavirus kind of threw a wrench in that, and I
that
decided
is
to
going
come
on.
home early. I bought a ticket that's like 24 hours out, and left
Okay.
Vietnam, came home early, and then went to Mexico.
Okay.
So I was down there photographing a destination wedding,
Oh, nice.
and then I was also doing some whale watching. So
And you got some good photos. I hear.
yeah, I got some really cool drone shots and some stills, and sliced my finger trying to catch the drone because it was coming on the boat and landing, and then the boat shifted, and I had to swat it and stuck my hand in the propeller.
Oh my gosh, but was it worth it?
Oh, yeah.
Worth the photos?
Yeah, I didn't want to lose that card.
Yeah, no, not at all. What's like a dream job of yours? I mean, obviously this traveling has to be the dream for photography, but
Yeah.
what's an area of photography you'd like to try that you haven't before, if you have anything?
You know, I've been doing this for 14 years, so I've done a lot of different styles of photography, but really for me, I just want to focus on building and leading a team.
Cool.
So I want to kind of split what I do into like 4 different brands over the next few months, and then I'd also like to work with a company more on a full-time basis as well, just because
Okay.
I like that constant day-to-day
Yeah.
activities of like working with the teams.
Because you're flying solo a lot of the time.
Yeah,
with
it just gets
these-
lonely, you know.
Yeah.
Like unless I can build my own team and then just have it there, you know, that's cool
Mhm.
too.
Yeah.
But, I just really enjoy like the stability of having that teamwork and like having the people to hang out with and talk to and all that.
And then
It's
your
cool.
projects could be even bigger too. You know, if you have more
Yeah,
people
for sure.
working on them, then that would help. Is this your overall passion? Like, do you think that you have found like what you have always dreamed of doing?
Well, I like to say what I like to do is help people. So however I can do that is what I like to do,
Yeah.
and I like to always be learning. So I spend my free time learning new skills and finding ways that I can monetize those and just have a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you are having fun, even if you slice your finger.
Yeah.
What is a project that you have loved doing? Do you have one that really stands out to you, whether it was a website that you designed or a company you're working for? Do you have one that was like, that was it, I love doing that?
So I had the opportunity to photograph Burt Rutan, who is an aerospace engineer.
Oh my gosh.
He's designed, I think, like 360 airplanes, and then 60 of them made it into production.
Wow.
Also, this first commercial spaceship. And
How did you get that? Just connection between people?
Yeah,
that
through the
led-
Innovation Collective over in Coeur d'Alene. I got introduced to him and asked if I could do a shot of him in his house where he was working on his very last airplane.
Wow.
It's a single car width when it folds up, and then it can take off on land and land in the water. And
What?
so it's his personal airplane. But he's retired, so it's his last one that he's doing, and I got to photograph him working on the wing for that. and at his house. I ended up selling it to Fly-In Magazine later, and
wow, good for you.
It was a really cool experience.
That's amazing. What are some ways that people can find your photography, or seeing different projects you've worked on? What's a good way of reaching out and connecting with your work?
Yeah, of course. My website is mattleitholt.com. It's Leitholt, and you can also find that on Instagram as well and Facebook.
Well, I am excited to hear of your future work and all that you'll be up to.
Thank
we're
you.
really glad that you came in today. Thanks for chatting with me.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And that's it for today. Thanks for watching the Pulse of Spokane.
This is River Ridge Frame Shop, called Frame It Today, where we can take your art, customize it, and get it ready to hang on the wall. Here at River Ridge Hardware, 2803 West Garland.
Welcome to Tom Sawyer Country Coffee.
Tom Sawyer Country Coffee only roasts the finest organic coffee for our signature blends. Enjoy a cup at our coffee shop and local businesses and organizations across the region.
I'm Tom Sawyer, and we choose the Pacific Northwest.
Welcome to a new kind of talk show, Spokane Talks, where you find news, views, and conversations that include respect for opinions, facts, and diversity.
Spokane Talks, Saturdays at 8 a.m. on Fox 28.
I'm Jade Becker, and I'm a senior at Chewelah High School. I'm at STCU's Money Live event. In this scenario that we played today, I was a realtor. My spouse was a city worker. We had an 11-month-old child, and there was a lot of spending for that child, like diapers and formula, and had to buy toys and clothing. I'm very glad that I had this experience. It was super helpful. You need this to get far and ahead in life. I'm Jade Becker, and STCU is here for good.